Dune Awakening has hit off to a great start, and I've been having a ton of fun with the release. Now, previously I had covered 15 must-know beginner tips to get you started out in Dune, and I do highly recommend checking out that video too, and I will link this at the end of the video for you, as the following tips in this video are all new tips based on the last 20 hours of playtime that I've had in game. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. Now, I cannot state how important water will be in the early to mid game, as you're going to need this not just for survival, but also for processing ores and chemicals, and you're going to need a ton of these resources in order to produce things like the buggy and the various equipment that becomes available to you in the later tiers of the game. As such, I highly recommend carrying with you 2 or 3 of the best blood bags that you have available in the game. And you should also have 1 or even 2, if possible, of the improved blood purifiers, so that you're able to produce a constant rate of water. And whilst you're at it, do make sure that you have several water containers available, 3 at a minimum in my opinion. Now, as the earliest way to harvest water fast is through blood extraction, you should build your bases near to an enemy outpost, as this will provide you with a constant and large supply of bodies to extract blood from. And whilst we are on the subject of base locations, I thought I should just update this slightly, and I'm going to say that you should be placing your bases on the edge of several biomes, as this will give you easy access to the various resources available, because they're not guaranteed in every biome. Now, one of the most frustrating enemies that you're going to be coming up against in the early game are the shielded heavy enemies. This is certainly the case if you haven't upgraded your weapons, so do regularly check to see if you have any better weapons available, but also make sure to use your skills. The grapple can stun them briefly, or stagger them I should say, to allow you to close in on them, and then fighting them with a sword will stagger them. The issue with this though is that eventually they will use a force field to stagger you and drain you of your energy. So when you see them start to do this, just dash out of range using Alt before returning into the fray. This has been the most efficient way for me to fight them and handle them so far. Unless of course you're driving over them with a vehicle, which is always fun. Now, melee combat is my favourite way to fight in the game, but losing your stamina after countless swings will leave you wide open to attack. So make sure you're paying attention to your stamina, and if you're starting to get low, rather than trying to force a few more attacks, just play defensive, walk around a bit, just avoiding them, so that you regain your stamina and then go back in and attack them. Now, when it does come to taking resources back to base, you can select which circuit a particular storage crate supplies. This can be really useful if you're wanting to keep some of the resources for your own manufacturing and others for, say, refining. And all you need to do is dictate in the storage which circuit the storage is on, and the same for the manufacturing building. This can be great for things like fuel cells, so if you have 2 crates for fuel cells, you can have 1 specifically for powering your powered generators and another specifically for vehicle fuel cell production. This stops you wasting resources that are needed elsewhere. Now, this system is also great when it comes to production buildables. These can consume a lot of power if you've placed them all around in your base, and this subsequently will require a lot of power generators. But if you're not using the buildable constantly, such as the weapon bench, or say the repair bench, the garment bench, all of those, you can just dismantle them and place them in a storage unit on their own circuit. That way, when you need to use the weapons bench, you can grab the resources and build it easily, rather than spend excess power. The other thing to bear in mind is they tend to have the same recipe to build in terms of resources, so you don't need to waste triple the amount of resources because you're only going to be using one of them at a time. Now, one thing that has annoyed me was not having the ability to just drop off resources that are already in a crate in a single click. But funny enough, you can actually do this. So before you enter the storage screen, just click F whilst you're looking at the chest and you will automatically deposit any items that are the same as the ones in the storage unit. Now, if you are moving resources between a vehicle and your base, you may find that you're struggling to withdraw a stack of resources. This is particularly infuriating if the vehicle's inventory is full, so you can't actually split the stacks. However, if you double click the resource that you want to withdraw, you will fill your inventory with the max amount of that resource which you can hold, stopping you from needing to actually split items and move them between inventories. Now, the late game vehicles will make your life much easier. The buggy harvests tons of resources easily, and the scout ornithopter is particularly good at quick travel between locations. Now, to protect them in your base, you're going to want to use the pentashield once it's unlocked. Now, these can be placed individually, but don't mistake them when building them as a large wall. You don't want to place them individually. You need to click and drag them from one corner of the entrance to the other. Now, some of the research is locked behind the trials. Unfortunately, they don't tell you where each of the trials are, so if you're interested, here are the locations of all 7 trials, and obviously if you don't want to be spoiled, just skip ahead. I'll put a timestamp below. So, looking at the map, the very first one, which everyone can find, is, oh, actually I don't know because it's not showing up on my map. I think it's around here, but you should know that one at the very least. I know where the rest are though. The second one is just over here in East Vermilius Gap, in the little cavern in this section. The third one is over here in Western Vermilius Gap. The fourth one is at the hammer. Have to make your way up here. The entrance is, if I remember rightly, around this spot, and you can start climbing up from there. The fifth one is in Haga Rift, just on top of this section. The sixth one is in the northeastern corner. You can't get much further northeast than that. And then the seventh one, which is quite low down, it's not quite on the bottom floor, but it's pretty close to, is located in the Haga Rift. And it's called the Red Moor. You should be able to find the cave quite easily, but it's around this pillar at the bottom. And the final trial can be found just here in the Eastern Shield Wall. It's actually right at the bottom. There's a little gap that you can go through to get to it. So there you are, guys. I hope you found these useful and are enjoying Dune Awakening. Let me know if you'd like me to cover a locations guide next. And don't forget to check out my 15 must-know tips for getting started in Dune next. Special thanks, as always, goes to all of our incredible supporters on Patreon, most notably our Lunar Eclipse patrons, Firefless, The Calamity, Ben, Star, and Seeker Kala, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Brain Slug. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.